ready for a rock and roll on the road as I go, you know. It's gonna be a little overtime, slightly. Not too much, gonna go pay some bills. Pay some bills in the RBC, and just went to pay my phone. Grateful, thankful my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and gonna check the moment of truth. Please disinfect your hands. Let's see, do I got my disinfectant? I should have my disinfectant somewhere. Yes. Pay bills. Pay those bills. Pay those bills. Pay those bills, pay those bills. Pay those bills, man. Gotta disinfect my hand after because you never know how many people touched it, you know? There's bacteria, microbes, germs, bacteria, microbes, germs. Oh, bacteria, microbes, germs. And there we go. Paid my electricity bill, paid my electricity bill, paid my electricity bill, $72. Electricity bill is paid. Gotta pay, I take some money out to have money for the month. For the month I can take. Draw away receipt. There we go. Always disinfect your hands because you never know how many people touched it, you know. Since I came, before I came, you know, how many people before was disinfected. The pressing of the buttons, you know, you press the buttons here to enter the code. And already in the minus, but rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, and that's about it on the go. Gonna do an assessment now of another bills. Let's see where we go. Rock and roll, financially stressed, but grateful, thankful my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and gotta check my Royal credit line. Oh yes, dollars in debt. Got $10,000 in debt. $10,000 in debt. I'm gonna have to pay interest, so that's what it is with that. And gotta make a little payment. Can't pay much. $44 maximum. Almost 45. So I'm gonna pay transfer and payment. Pay Royal credit line. $44.93, $44.93, $44 and let me double check, and 93 cents. Yeah, $44.93 it is. I'm done. And that's it. That's all my banking for February, you know. That's only emergencies. Now I can use that $44.93 as leverage for an emergency, you know, because now I'm already in the minus, but I got leverage, and almost $45 in case of an emergency, I guess, you know, if you got some XYZ. So. So I don't see any disinfectant here. No disinfectant, so gotta double check I don't leave anything. The bills, no. I'm good, so we're gonna disinfect the hands and rock and roll a little bit of jogging. Ready. I'm gonna disinfect with my own disinfectant, hand sanitizer, bacteria, because you never know, you know, how many people there's. It's cold. 10, 20, 19, 18, 17. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and extra 5 seconds. There we go. Hands are disinfectant. Made in Canada. Hand sanitizer. Gonna stack it in, and there we go. Did a little banking, and now we're gonna go back to the headquarters, you know. Back to the headquarters. Grateful time for my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got food and coffee, and we're gonna go all the way back, and we're gonna go all the way back and get a little bit of, see if I can get some of those, something to blow my nose, and auctioning everything that I'm wearing for a million, gonna give 50%. That's half to my anonymous friend, and found a little bit to blow my nose. I gotta put some gloves on. Where's the bag? Where's the garbage somewhere? Maybe I see it somewhere to put in the garbage. If not, I'm gonna have to wait and watch it, because there's black ice on the field, on the ground, and this is a special banking Sunday with yours truly, Adrian Hunter Dragon. Still gotta go get some eggs, so on my way back to my headquarters, and of course that's the mountain. Now we're miles away. See, that's the mountain where we were Friday, where we were last Wednesday, where we were last Monday. We went 3 times last week. Now the end of the Sabbath and sunset, so the week kind of starts commencing for me now. Sundays after sunset, Sunday the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom Sabbath begins at Friday midnight and lasts almost 45 hours, and that is the mountain. See, that's the mountain. You can see the peak far off. That's Mount Royal, West Mountain. That's right now. We're miles and miles and kilometers away from the mountain. My second home, Mount Royal. Of course, very many miles and kilometers away. Many miles and kilometers away. We are many miles and kilometers away. See, that is the mountain. That's the mountain, and that's miles and kilometers away. You know, that's afar off. Afar off. So the mountain can be seen afar off, and now we see the mountain on the island of Montreal, Metropolis Island, 2.5 million people. Grateful, thankful my rent's paid my rent yesterday, paid my electricity bill today. It was due tomorrow, so I paid it today, and of course it's gonna get processed tomorrow, but that's it. I got, you know, financially stressed. As you can see, I'm already in the red starting on the 2nd of February, only the 2nd today, but my main bills, paid them right away yesterday. 1st February, paid my rent, so paid my rent. That's it, that's all with that. Paid my electricity bill, Hydro-Quebec. Paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food, got coffee, now I got a black backpack auctioning it for $1 million. I got from my anonymous friend a little bit of snacks, and a little bit of commission work for somebody else. And now heading back to headquarters, grateful, thankful on the march. A little bit of a workout Sunday, closing the Sabbath. You know, always got to be grateful, thankful, rent, paid, electricity bill. And it was actually to go get something for my friend and to pay my phone because it's expired. Yesterday I couldn't text, I couldn't receive text, so now it's on and I paid my phone. It was $28.75 for the month of February. Now I'm good. I can receive text as I am open for business 24/7. Independent N.A.W.C.P artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, you know, who's got to go get it on the go. And always meditate now, you know, when I filled it in, a little bit of that tech science meditation, you know, thank you, great customer service, I gotta say. But I meditate when it was input in the computer, how all the lines, all the telecommunication, the science behind it goes, and to, I guess, servers or whatever have you, and connects, and then with the antennas, the 5G, I think it's mostly 4G, 3G and 4G, but going on to that 5G, so we still got between those, you know, 3G, 4G, 5Gs, and how it goes. And now I get it unlocked, you know, to get my monthly subscription, which is Canada coast to coast, texting, and of course not only texting but also call, Canada-wide call, texting Canada-wide call, you know. So I'm with some company that's actually owned by a bigger company, you know how the corporate structure is, and it's a special Dragon versus Trump edition. No to the tariffs. Please give some charity, business. Give some charity, rock and roll always for the farmers, truckers, the butchers, and those who did the clearing of the snow here. You know, always gotta send some LOV to the truckers on the road, firefighters, LOV, the grocery store clerks, warehouse workers, those in the shops. I don't know what's in transporting here, a little bit of transportation, salute across the North American Collective. We gotta send some LOV. See, that's the mountain, see. That is the mountain right there. That's the mountain, which we can see it from afar off, and even from outside of the island, hundreds of kilometers away, we can see it miles away. You know, it's on the mountain. If you go Montreal Hawk Island, Montreal Hawk, HAWK, my totem bird, the Hawk Island is a big island, and you see those are the 3 peaks, but the other one's kind of in the back. The 3 peaks, the Outremont Peak, or the mountain system, mountain complex, Mount Royal. At the Belvedere Condrenac, and that's really miles and kilometers away there. See, I'm gonna switch the camera to get it on the other angle, but that's what you can see there from afar off. So that's where we spend a lot of time there. See, well, we went last week, we went 3 times. So remember, sometimes I do put the interjection of the finger and point that way in the camera, you know, so that you can see how they're shaped like the mountain system. You can see it from afar off here, and you can see those radio antennas. We have those red lights on them for the aviation and the transport, whatever the case may be. And that's where we were Friday, that's where we were Wednesday and Monday, you know. So we go there often. That's my second home, and that's what it is with that, you know. So always got to be saluting, meditating. That's civilization is the complex, and I still got some hope. Dragon versus Trump. I know tariffs were imposed on all Canadian products except for oil. So that was the declaration, the order given yesterday. Executive order, this Quebec Canadian got to play that. North Americans unite. No tariffs. There's still time to rescind the order, rescind the order and remit and cancel. You know, people cancel the orders, and I think canceling is for the best. Let's find an alternative way. Let's find an alternative way. It's North Americans unite. Canada, Quebec, Canadian, North American, was born in the USA 3 times in previous incarnations. Once was born as a woman, twice as a man, served in the same US Army 2 times. Post 70-76 in the same US Army, 2 different wars. Just read George Patton's Through a Glass Darkly. George Patton was my wife in a past life incarnation, and right now this we got at Asperger's, androgynous, pansexual, rock and roll for the firefighters, LOV nurses, welders, the electricians, the plumbers, those in the grocery store clerks, the IT workers, the technicians, all those truckers on the road, all those bakers, those in the warehouses gonna ship those merchandises, those grocery store clerks, helping me like you helped me with the directions. I was asking, where's the black licorice? Where's the black licorice, please? Where's the black licorice? I was directed to aisle 6. Aisle 6. And that's when I get that rock and roll, and I said thank you, and that was some good service, you know. So that's how we gotta get doing with the rock and roll, you know. And being that I have Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism is a neurological mental divergent condition, which sometimes can seem be weird and awkward, and very fundamentally on the oblique side, maybe we have less, myself including, due to this neurodivergent mental condition. I am less able, less capable. I am mediocre, average and so-so in certain circumstances. In certain circumstances, I am mediocre, average and so-so. So in certain circumstances, I am myself mediocre, average and so-so. While being mediocre, average and so-so, in certain circumstances, in other circumstances, I am of course very able, very capable, and very good. Geopolitics is my special interest, also known as obsessive interest. Ask these people, Asperger's, we have special focused interest. Well, we can be so in it while we work, because I'm working now as a YouTuber, freestyling that rock and roll, Dragon vs. Drum, North Americans Collective. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party. Let's get that North American Collective Workers Party rolling. And that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So it's always on the interjection and always on the meditation, you know. And so geopolitics is my kingdom, my realm, parallel with sports and fitness and sports. Those are also my obsessive interests, special interests I prefer using. Other than obsessive has a more negative connotation, while special, super intense, super focused are more adequate for people who are neurodivergent with Asperger's like yours truly. So sports and fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. Gotta salute LOV, Rainbow Rock and Roll for Victoire Montreal Professional Women's Hockey League. We're the top, you know. So we gotta get that North Americans unite, and we gotta get that North Americans unite. We gotta get that North Americans unite. So that's what it is with that. So North Americans unite. That's all we gotta do, you know. So it's something which we gotta do. And yours truly is something that it is. You know, it's something that it is. But XYZ, you know, it's XYZ, you know. So also rock and roll, that's my holy trinity of obsessive interest. Rock and roll, sports and fitness, dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity, and that's with the geopolitics. And of course, as an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist who has predicted the international conflagration, I actually predicted the international conflagration, which is happening now. I predicted it back in 2019. Back in 2019, I predicted an international conflagration based on several layers of analysis, in-depth analysis, and that's when I predicted that humanity is again going to be set towards the concourse, towards the direction, meaning towards the World War III. And so made and created that workout training program system, which I've made, created and produced to go hand in hand with such an eventuality, such a scenario as the aforementioned. And I created a super efficient, simple, which requires no equipment exercise, of which myself have performed more than 372 sessions. And that's when I officially I changed the A of my surname into an O. Dragon. Motto of the Dragon Army is nobody's born a dragon. Salute. LOV to the truckers. LOV to the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks. LOV to the truckers, construction workers, the welders, the nurses, the electricians, the cooks, the chefs, the chefs, the teachers, the plumbers, the electricity. There it is, the mountain, my second home, and downtown Montreal. So that's kilometers and miles away. That's many kilometers and miles away. But now you can see how huge it is. Of course, from this angle, you can see how big the mountain is, and that's where we were Friday. And that's what I filmed with the camera, and I pointed the finger towards here, and I said sometimes we're miles and miles and kilometers away here, and you can see a roundabout is right between the east and the west of Montreal line, and right in the center between the east and the west. See, and of course, right in, not between the center, exactly between the north and the south, but right between the north and the south is kind of south of the island metropolis city of 2.5 million people. Montreal, where yours truly died during COVID, is going to celebrate in February, March 2020. I had COVID, and I had it like 3 times. The first one at the beginning in 2020, February, March, I thought I was going to die, and I really thought that was it for me. But, you know, I credit my survived COVID. I thought I was going to die. I died, but nothing that I want to go back and survive COVID, and that's what it is today. And having survived COVID, you know, that's what it is. And having survived being surprise attack, and having survived being depressed, being suicidal, I credit my surviving to the goddess. G-O-D-D-S-S, look at the moon, that's the moon. Don't start howling, that's I said it like a loon. Go about it with a spoon, eat them fed and feed the hungry. Gotta scratch it where it hurts, gotta scratch it where it bursts. Rock and roll, you know I said, rock and roll, you know I led. With the English sentence list, blessed us, so that I said, when a rock and roll, you know we better. Yeah, rock and roll, that's just freestyle, you know, I enter into rock and roll trances, you know. I enter into rock and roll trances, goddess, you know. G-O-D-D-S-S. I credit my surviving to the goddess, and I will. Gotta salute my fellow citizen for taking a walk, good exercising, and gotta salute, you know, those who work out, train, exercise, and my will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess, G-O-D-D-E-S-S, Forgotten Goddess Temple, on the Canadian-US border, that way. And the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum is something that my will is to build and to construct thereof, you know, interjection, and that's my will to build and construct thereof, you know, that's what I've gotta say. So, you know, parallel with the House of the Dragon, pyramid, austere, severe, but scarlet's crimson and scarlet are shades of red, and put some rainbow in it, and the fourth building, the Rainbow People's Palace. For my fellow LGBTQ community, you know, being a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist, being a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist, being a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist, but with Asperger's neurodivergence, I've had more difficulty in maintaining regular long employment, and of course I didn't work ever since I got out of depression. Was depressed, suicidal. 2017 I crossed Canada coast to coast. I crossed Canada coast to coast in 2017, and that event really changed my life. Ever since then, you know, I've been on a fitness journey, and I realized I had an awakening. I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. So having established a strong esprit with my fellow Canadians and Quebecers and North Americans by extension, our family, North Americans unite, Dragon versus Trump. No to the tariffs, yes to the Democratic Republic, my brothers and sisters, fellow Quebecers, Canadians. As much as I would have voted for Kamala or Harris, you know, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, of course, I'm for the North American Union, and my brothers and sisters, fellow Quebecers, Canadians, the king is absent. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. I don't know about that 51 state. I say no. Tariffs between Canadians and the United States, Canada, US is a no. A common currency, yes. A common passport, yes. Integration, security, service, and defense. For security, service, and defense, and rebirth. For security, service, and defense, as brothers and sisters, family. special marriage. I'm gonna propose again, because I need to give myself a ring. That's why I got a little bit of money. I'm already in the red, but I'm exactly on the margin, so I'm gonna find something second hand and gotta get it for that. But the border is not really useful. What we gotta focus on is coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast defense, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast defense mostly, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and implement my total mobile defense theory system for the North American Collective, my total mobile defense theory system for the North American Collective, my total mobile defense theory system for the North American Collective, my total mobile defense theory system, and to implement and circumspect such vigorous projects here from the Quebec-Canadian complex across the North American border. For all my brothers and sisters, North Americans unite. For the continuity of the North American complex, we need to start building those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. We need to start building those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Construct 44 tunnels inspired by the Montreal Underground Metro and, of course, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. So we need to get those building up, and we need to implement my DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the U, man. That's what we gotta do. And I've been checking if there's a moon, I think so. Yeah, that's the moon there, see? That's the moon. Yeah, that is the moon. Yeah. Part of the moon, and quite beautiful. So I'm gonna discuss the DRT, and again, it's gotta get defense coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and do a census, North American census, a great North American census, and of course to establish everybody who's lived here in the past 7 years, and do some language assessments, and do an establishment of everybody who's been here in the past 7 years, and mobilize in such a manner with a public-private partnership manner to integrate and no to the tariffs. Tariffs is one of those policies which is we gotta unite. As much as I don't agree with Donald Trump's policies. I believe my Trinity of theories, because my universal revolutionary centrism is tied hand in hand with my Trinity of theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory, the DFT. That Trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension, LOV. Some love is some action, some love is some action. We gotta weigh, do, rebuild, rescale. The North American Collective, we constitute a civilizational complex which is emergent, which is not totally divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization, And we constitute 42 million Canadians. And my brothers and sisters, 340 million, 340 million. And my brothers and sisters in the USA, Tough times with these tariffs, probably going to be for the consumer, citizen, consumer, because that's where the affectation goes in terms of 25% is massive. And when I really was on the sidelines of politics. When I first got into politics, actually was when Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel of 10% in 2018. Is going to be 7 years, and I started challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, still do. And right then, I remember I have the proof online because I got that work online. I wanted to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. I wanted, and I will, to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, actually a rink made of Canadian aluminum and steel, a rink made of Canadian aluminum and steel, a rink made of Canadian aluminum and steel, a rink made of both joined Canadian aluminum and steel. And I gotta give a shout out now. You see how my mind works. Due to that, I have Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism. That's what I gotta say. And of course, I see all these cars all these cars trajecting, moving, and now my mind switches to geopolitics. And in the realm that 2019, in October, November was of course the year where I had concluded that humanity set towards an international conflagration, aka World War III. And I've been in a type of World War III mode ever since. I've been in a type of World War III mode ever since. I've been in a type of World War III mode ever since that day of 2019. That's how I've been kind of living, because I saw that and I lost much weight. I exercised, trained, I created. I'm proud of that creation. It's kind of a sophisticated complexity, but it's also simple. My General War Integrated All Body Training System, which is a simple, effective workout training program system, which requires no equipment. And now how my mind works, I see that's the going towards the west, that's going towards the east, and I meditate because our highways, our infrastructure, our supply chains, our hydroelectricity and power grids are open for sabotage, are open for potential sabotage, in terms, in consequential cases that we made potential enemies of powerful nuclearly armed states, nation states with capabilities to sabotage, and espionage with capabilities for espionage, and sabotage with capabilities for espionage and sabotage. That's why we got to do the CIT, citizen integration theory, make a census, assess everybody who's been living here since 2017, in the past 7 years, and because we got involved by providing arms and military knowledge and military training and weapons, into conflicts. Not only we got involved in a humanitarian manner, but we got involved by providing weapons. So we got to keep that note, and it's North Americans Unite, the Dragon Army, North American Integrated Security Service and Force, to be strictly and only for security service and security and defense, security service and defense, based on Maya as a philosopher, Rainbow Dragon who loves that rock and roll. I can go into rock and roll trance as always for the firefighters, and for security, safety, and defense with the liberty got to dance together. Because my liberty, my security as an individual with my own past trauma and scars that I live on my body, and scars and trauma and survival, and looking for only friends with benefits only from now on. Thanks for understanding. Only friends with benefits, pledge your allegiance now, thou our family. Only solely friends with benefits from now on, thou our family, And they gotta take a little moment to salute LOVE to the train conductors, the truckers once again. See that truck's going west, what is it carrying? I always meditate, my mind goes on the meditation on potentials for security as an individual, my security, my liberty, and yours, in harmony with your liberty, your individual liberty and security, It's always got to be in a concordium. It's always got to be in a concordium. So that's what it is for the concordium with that. Got to salute the construction workers, the plumbers, the electricians, those construction workers on steel toes. And it's time for me to discuss the DRT, debt fusion theory for the creation of the UE. The DRT, debt fusion theory, my brothers and sisters, is the only solution, or something very similar to at least the situation where we are today now, to the fact that in Canada we paid in 2024, 46.5 billion in interest, just in interest. That is a staggering amount, and just in 2020, 2021, the amount was 20.3 billion. Still a big amount, because since due to the fact that a billion has 9 zeros, that means that consequently that number is the equivalent of 20,000 billion just in interest on the public debt. Dang, imagine. Do a calculation. So of course, due to COVID, and COVID for me, I had it was like death, pestilence, and disease. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. Death, pestilence, and disease. Of course, sounds like a death, hardcore metal song, like a trash metal song, or the name of a trash metal album, Death, Pestilence, and Disease. But that's how I felt. And I did die in 2020, right in my underground room of Sun Temple, the Dragon's Lair, you know, right there being reborn. But the DRT I've been concocting, and it's been partly inspired by a book I got on for holidays, for Xmas on holidays, the 24th, 25th of December, by an anonymous acquaintance. And it was a bit conspiratorial, but it has some real information about the banking, financial, commercial system of ancient Egypt, ancient Sumer, ancient Babylon, ancient Rome, and the British Empire, and China. And of course it was a bit on the conspiratorial side, but besides the conspiracies, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, it had some real information. And of course that real information was based on some banking, financial history of the world. So it was a book, but it was slightly conspiratorial in nature. But nonetheless, that book, which I got as a gift and which I read like 7 times and wrote equations and theories on it, and ideas and protocols, and of course having written that theory, that protocols, of course, on it, I had to throw it away because at one point it wasn't read. But I got it like kind of I believe it was 2018, the holidays in 2018. I believe it was the holidays in 2018 or something like that. So, because before that, you know, my memory, I got blackouts of memory, lost of memory. I got lost of memory, you know, I have retrograde amnesia, just have my memories are blackouts. When I go more than 9 years, I remember just moving from a moldy place in Montreal Island, on the island of Montreal, and blah blah blah. I have like trouble with I have memory loss, you know, memory loss, you know. So anyways, so that's what it is, and that's what it is for that. So here I am, you know, on the 2020. I survived COVID, and my DRT is the only solution, brothers and sisters. Paradoxically, the DRT is the solution to the public financial crisis of Canada, because we're in a crisis, and to my brothers and sisters in the USA too, because many in the public also. Myself as a citizen financially struggling, but paradoxically my DRT, debt refusion theory, so I'm going to now explain. So my DRT theory stands for D, debt, R, refusion, T, theory. D, debt, R, refusion, debt refusion theory also includes monetary integration theory. So in my theory is included monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union, So my theory includes monetary integration theory, my theory. So in my DRT theory is included monetary integration theory. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 included, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars. Because again, you can check the numbers for yourself, but we paid 46.5 billion, yes, due to COVID. Due to COVID in the public sphere and the public finances, we had to implement certain programs for the sustenance of a population in the terms of a health crisis, a health emergency. But now it's an emergency in the public finances due to that. You know, so due to that, the only solution is the DRT. Debt refusion theory. The only solution is the DRT, the debt refusion theory, paradoxically. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, all the public and the private debt, we're going to convert it to US dollars. Add it all up, including my $10,000 as a citizen, because think again, if the interest on the public debt of Canada doubled, and correlate this to an individual, let's say your debt, I don't have credit cards, I have a credit line, but if the interest payment doubles, if just the interest payment double, right? In 3 years, if the interest payments, let's say for an individual, let's say for me, for you, or for some other citizen, goes from $156 to $333, while the salary doesn't double, and the salary only increases by 5, 10, 15%, then you have to cut, reduce the budget, reduce the cost. What are you going to cut? Netflix. You're going to cut maybe champagne, wine, whatever, orange juice, bacon. You have to reduce the spending. It's going to have to be reduced because there's less income. I mean, there's more, you pay more, and there's not necessarily less income. Maybe it increased by a bit, but not double, but you have to pay double interest. So if that happens, let's say from 156, you would have had to pay $156 in interest in 2020, 2021. And now last year you had to pay $333. Obviously you have to cut. You have to reduce in the budget because it's not sustainable, right? It cannot be sustained. So that is just how it is. And there's no way around it. So there's no way around it but my DRT theory, which I'm going to explain. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, my 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. All the debt, public and private, all the debt, public and private, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all that money we're going to convert it into US dollars. All that money converted into US dollars. We're going to add it all up. Canada first, but preferably like implementing the DRT, my DRT theory, which includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union in the 90s. The Germans destroyed the national central banks, the Italians also, the French also, and all their own currencies. So my theory includes that theory, and of course it has to be implemented in such a manner. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt and we're going to convert it into US dollar, preferably implemented binationally at the same time, like the establishment of the NHL, PVHL. So all the debt, public and private, put together, that converted the Canadian debt to United States dollar. Added up, that's going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. That money, all the public private debt, is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. So that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Whatever the case, whatever the money is, I guess it's going to be in the trillions, right? So it's going to be in the trillions. So all the debt, public and private, converted to US dollar, that money is going to be the initial money supply. So we're going to create a new currency with all that money in circulation. We're going to create the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange, a new currency is going to have the value of the US dollar, a new North American central bank, and all the money in circulation will be all the public and the private debt. We're going to put an interest rate level of 10% after that. It could be 3.33, 7.18, 4.18, 1.56, 6.1, and whatever the case may be. I'm just going to go take a look at all that snow there. And then I have to go buy eggs. And that's it. So all the public-private debt, that's going to be the initial money supply. With all the money, we're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. We're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure, build the tunnels, 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war and for the continuity of the survival of the North American civilizational complex. Mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. Mass finance of the building of more hydroelectric dams here in Quebec. More hydroelectric dams. Mass financing the implementation of my theories, the Operation Northern Scorpio, and the mass financing of tourism for general wellness across North American Collective. We're going to mass finance citizens for tourism, mass finance citizens for tourism across the North American Collective, mass finance citizens for tourism across and for the North American Collective. Thank you to those who did a little bit of that snow removal, and mass finance mass public works, rebuild the aqueducts, the sewers, and do a lot of good with that money. So that's for the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. Pledge your allegiance, legions, thou our family. Always grateful, thankful, my rent's paid. The DRT paradoxically on the table. This looks like a bit of I got a little bit of a military geopolitical drills, you know. XYZ, we need to create a dragon army for security service and defense only. My DRT theory for the creation of the UE, and that's all we gotta be doing. So grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. Encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Working out, training, exercise has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. Gonna stretch out a little bit, and we're gonna get on that circumcision for now, and that's all we're gonna get doing, you know. So something which I gotta be seeing, and always gotta be meditating here, you know.